Unlock your full potential with Brain and Focus, a powerful supplement designed to boost mental clarity, enhance memory, and sharpen concentration. Made from a blend of scientifically proven ingredients like ginkgo biloba, omega-3, and essential vitamins, Brain and Focus is crafted to fuel your mind. Our process ensures maximum potency and effectiveness, delivering the perfect balance of brain-boosting nutrients. Take just one capsule daily, as prescribed by your healthcare provider, and feel the difference. Whether it's powering through your workday or staying sharp in life's challenges, Brain and Focus keeps you at the top of your game. Stay sharp, stay focused, and stay ahead with Brain and Focus. Brain and Focus, fuel your mind, achieve more. Go get this product at blackhotfirenetwork.com at the Sports and Nutrition Store.
Good afternoon, family. Hope you guys are doing amazing. Welcome back to yet another beautiful conversation of the Africa Today Show. To everyone tuning in on the radio station, Spreaker, Spotify, iTunes, wherever you get us, literally we're everywhere on the internet, on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute. Karibuni sana once again to the Africa Today Show. This is the media of the 21st century, Black Hot Fire. And of course, as usual, where you can get yourself those amazing organic supplements. It's on our sports page. And of course, you can only get that by ensuring you have our app. And of course, a quick reminder, once again, we have a charity coming up this Saturday. We're going to be feeding 300 children on one of the charity homes this Saturday right here in Rongai. So we're looking forward to that, to see how it's going to go. But of course, a quick reminder to send $2, $2.50, anything that actually you're comfortable with. We appreciate you, and karibuni sana once again. Today we shall be talking about the incident that is happening in Florida. There's a video that is going viral of the brutal arrest of a Florida mother who was arrested because of just parking a car by a Jacksonville sheriff. So we shall be discussing on that as we look at the racism again, literally showcasing itself, and why people misusing their power because they know that this system actually is all about them. As we get into those details, I'll be sharing another video actually that explains more deeper on the root of all this racism, also towards Black people, how we got here, how everything happened. But before we get to that, and looking at how racism also is currently active, especially in a country called South Africa, I want to talk about that. A quick shout out to that lady who keeps talking about how Africans need to go back to their country. I'll still be heavy on, you need to start addressing the real issue. Africans were so scared of making the white man or hurting the white man's feeling, even if it cost us our lives, it cost us our history, it cost us everything. Like, why are we so scared to hurt the white man's feelings? It's something that I really don't understand. I don't get it. Why would you be suffering just because you want to please someone? I'm not willing to do that. Personally, I'm always willing to walk out of any situation that costs my peace, any situation that won't make me feel comfortable or sad or worried. Hell no, I'm not about to be in there. And it's a situation I know I can change or I can get better. It's really, really crazy. So I shall be starting with that. There's this video actually which is gonna make you a little bit mad. The interview is done by a white guy, but I love the fact there's one of the Black guys in this video who say that Black people, not the Black people, the white people will leave. The Afrikaners will have to leave South Africa whether they like it or not. And they can't keep on avoiding the truth, which is very true. I feel like if you look at actually how this system is completely set up, is a system where not only are we living in illusion, but a system where they don't like the truth. They don't like the truth because everything they have built is all based on lies. Everything, just like what we were talking about yesterday, the system, this money system, the fake money system. And now because they're seeing their system is collapsing, they want to go back to what is real, which is still going to cost other people's lives. So it's really crazy. But karibuni sana once again. And of course, hit the like button as we get started. I'm just gonna hit the play button, and then we get straight to the conversation right away.
The darkest days of racial division in South Africa may well be over.
They're not. This is a video actually of a month ago, and it's just a month ago. You remember we witnessed British men and some of the Israeli people in South Africa and others doing videos saying how they want to come to this country and create their own town. So no, it's far from being over. Far from being over. It's actually getting started. Not just South Africa, many African countries, because currently if you look at the situation of America and most of the countries which are collapsing because of this system, the way it was set up, and now they're coming back to the real deal where it all began, where it's all been in Africa. They're everywhere. So it's not just South Africa currently suffering just from this situation.
But black and white communities are seemingly heading for confrontation over who should have the country's land.
It's our land, and we're doing them a favor by asking them that we should live there.
We will not be pulled out here. We will not be packed up and taken away.
A new law allows the state to seize unused land without compensation. Donald Trump has thrown fuel on the fire, offering refugee status to white Afrikaners fleeing what he calls white genocide. But it's not as simple as some people make it out to be. And we hear from those who say the land was theirs first, and that the black population has some explaining to do.
There's ample proof that my forefather was the first Homo sapien in this country.
Welcome to Beyond Borders. Halfway between Cape Town and Johannesburg, on the edge of the Karoo Desert, runs the Orange River, dividing the Free State from the Northern Cape. And on a hill nearby is a monument to those seen here as heroes of the apartheid years. Karl Boshoff's grandfather, Hendrik Verwoerd, the so-called architect of apartheid, was assassinated in Parliament. His widow helped to found Orania in 1990. It's the whites-only town for descendants of the original Dutch settlers, the Afrikaners.
Of course, Dutch settlers. So we go back to that Dutch. So where did the Dutch come from? That is where we have to go back. If we're really looking at history, where did the Dutch come from? The Dutch never existed in Africa way before the white men started showing up in Africa. Unless, again, there's a part of history I'm missing, I stand corrected. So the Dutch, like, are you kidding me?
And it's where we'll stay tonight.
I remember the last...
And of course, you know the history of Orania so far. In case you don't know, Orania is the only white town in South Africa. They have their own bank, they have their own farms, they have their own workers, they have their own security system. All explained still in this video. We did a whole video of where we had Wodemaya in South Africa showing us the
Sunday afternoon spent together as a family.
Professor Boshoff says government policy is driving Afrikaners out.
It's draining our resources. It drains it in terms of the numbers of Afrikaans-speaking people, of children going to schools, of new farmers taking up land and farming them if they concentrate on farmers, as it seems that they want to. Every Afrikaner leaving South Africa is a loss for us, and it's a loss for South Africa as well.
In Orania's 3,000-strong community, you must be an Afrikaner, Christian, Afrikaans-speaking, and have no criminal record. Black people can visit, but not work or live here.
Well, they do work there. I do remember most of the workers actually working on this farm are black people. They are not allowed to live there, but most of the workers working for these so-called Afrikaners, yeah, it's black people, slaves who are working there. Let's call it as it is.
Here comes the tour bus that we usually take the tours in.
Franz, our 25-year-old guide, says the town is booming. It has its own bank, Afrikaans-only schools, and private security in place of local police.
And the idea is that centralized government in South Africa is not sustainable. It will never be able to govern in the interest of all the different racial groups or cultural groups in South Africa.
But why is it Afrikaner only?
Because we need to create our own space. Every other nation in the world has a place.
Africans are not allowed to create their own space in America. Even the black Americans born and raised there. From the topic of what we're just talking about, these are black American women born and raised there. Literally someone who's part of the black American history and everything, all connected. But do they have their own space despite the horrible, horrifying, evil things that they have been kept through, and the history that it literally comes along with it? Have black people been given their own space, even in Africa itself? Because yeah, we're talking about South Africa. Have black people really been given space? So why should, this is just literally trust me, I know so much right now, but it's still mind-blowing. White people are just I don't know, distraction beyond distraction, or because we need to create our own space. You invaded someone's space, but you still feel entitled about it, and you don't even have the audacity to acknowledge you acknowledge your invasion. You're like, we belong there. Our ancestors had these lands. They bought what?
Place that they can call home, except
It's very disrespectful. I take whatever happens in South Africa very, very disrespectful. I mean, it's not like I don't take the rest of what affects the other African countries disrespectful, but South Africa, and sadly, this is what is coming to Kenya too. The UN moving here, the white people coming here because the economy is soaring there. Shit, it's crazy.
For the Afrikaner, right? We want to be a majority here because then you have political power and economic power and things like that.
Oh wow! But you want to remain. You want to keep up this system of white supremacy everywhere you go. You want to practice this system of white supremacy everywhere you go, where black people should be on the bottom and white on the top. That is exactly what he's just saying.
We are exclusive Afrikaner community, right? So we are a cultural preservation project, and we have to preserve to some extent.
Wow.
And the ways that we do it is like through having our own land, having our own labor. It's the difference between forced integration and freedom of association, I would say. Right? If you would choose to have your own exclusive Zulu community or Xhosa community, you should absolutely have the right to do that. I don't understand how you can deny someone that right.
You don't see this as discrimination?
Africans have been denied the right of living in their own continent. Talk about Congolese people, talk about the Sudan, talk about the Ethiopian people, talk about the whole of the continent of Africa. Africans have been denied the right to live in their... I was listening to this, but I couldn't still believe my ear. And I'm listening to this for the third time. I still can't believe my ear. I still can't believe my ear. Again, like what?
In any way?
I don't see it as discrimination, no. I see it as freedom.
But if a black or coloured person wanted to come and live here, they couldn't. Isn't that discrimination?
No, they wouldn't be able to. But it's not based on the colour of their skin, right? If you would try to...
It is based on their colour of their skin. Because why would you be creating white-only towns in an African country? That is number one. That is what? I'm a good judge at this particular point. So you're lying. This is all about race. This is why you say you want to have political recognition. You want to completely take over the country. That is what you want, the white people ruling over black people so bad. It's just that you can't openly say it, but you're saying it literally.
Applied to live here as well, you wouldn't be able to.
It's Sunday morning, and Karel Boshoff's cousin Willem is leading a service at the Dutch Reformed Church.
As die Here die huis nie bou nie, swoeg die bouers te vergeefs daarop.
Urania is winning, you understand, in the sense that people don't see it so negative anymore.
You have to embrace and be proud. Ek kom van Urania.
I think what was wrong with apartheid is one group of people governing everyone else without them having a say. While, we don't want to govern anyone else or to be the boss and exploit anyone else. So it's way beyond, I think, the old South Africa.
Oh, so you're trying to say when the Dutch came here, because if you had exactly what you just said, looking at the fact that this is the Dutch people who came here, stole a land, and yes, they exploited the people. You just said it. We're not here to exploit. It's not like we want to take full control, because that's how you came in, and that's exactly what you want to keep on practicing. Actually, that's what you've been doing. African countries don't have any independency because white people have our continent by the balls. White people have our puppets by the balls. We have less of men calling themselves presidents of this big continent, this rich continent. This is just super crazy. This disturbs my mind. South Africa, every time I talk about South Africa, I feel like crying. I feel a mixture of emotion. I feel like crying. I feel angry. I feel like I should be, taking revolution over there, talk to people, wake the people. Because what's this? I really hope our country doesn't get there. As much as literally for real, that's where we're headed. Kenya is completely heading here. And many African countries are. Look at Liberia. What did we say yesterday? Completely just giving away your land to people to exploit for 25 goddamn years. Who does that?
Less than 24 hours is not enough time to understand fully a place, a community. But if Urania has a heart, it seems to be beating where we can't hear it, away from the empty streets. And in places like Willem Boshoff's church, where the Sunday message was the word is the truth. The radical political party, the Economic Freedom Fighters, EFF, which won almost 10% of the vote in the last election, wants Urania shut down, calling it a symbol of ethnic division. In the provincial capital, Kimberley, they held a protest march in early 2025. Now the EFF wants a legal review into whether Urania should be allowed to exist at all.
Number one, these political parties, we know they are also all lies. The EFF, which stands for, it stands for freedom, something to do with freedom. I don't know, but still hasn't done anything for South Africans. That is Julius Malema. Just an opposition like Raila Odinga, there to control the mindset of the people. We're fighting for freedom, but bet you'll never have it. We'll never have freedom so long as we're moving with these political oppositions. We need to stand on our own and literally go all the way Nepal, go all the way Madagascar. This is embarrassing. I'm embarrassed to see this and knowing based on the fact I know so much history. If you understand what I'm saying, I'm embarrassed to the fact that this is actually happening today in the whole continent, apart from 3 countries right now. We can be very specific. This is very, very embarrassing.
A land audit must be conducted to determine the ownership and use of land in and around Orania. No section of land in this province may be reserved for a one race.
Tell me a little bit. The man we've seen speaking at the rally is meeting us in the grounds of a plush golf club and says he wants to be the first black person to live in Orania. You're demanding the right to live in this whites-only town?
Yes.
Why?
It's our land. It's our land, and we're doing them a favor by asking them that we should live there. We should live everywhere where we want to. And we're not saying we want to live where they are currently staying without them. They must be part of us. We must stay together.
That's the problem. You want people to be part of you and they don't give a shit about you. I mean, they have already divided and they have their own town, their own banks. You actually their own slaves. Talk about that. You go only work there, get your $2 and go back home, look for some breadcrumbs as you've fed them the whole bread. And you're still asking for inclusivity. What's wrong with Africans? What's really wrong with Africans? For real? What's wrong with Africans? Sometimes we think it's just the leaders, the people themselves, the mindset is so gone. What's wrong? We must share together. They're not sharing Orania with you. They have taken literally biggest percentages of lands and they're still calling you in this video very lazy farmers. You want inclusivity. This is just so crazy. And that's the same question we have the welfare king literally saying. That's what I've been trying to ask. Why literally 2, that is 250,000 of people. So that's what you mean. Africa go back home and build up their country. I didn't get the question correctly. Kindly, if you can still phrase that. But Karibu Sana Keith, how are you doing?
I'm talking to Demore about the time when you was in that cab and you didn't trust me. But I said, Joby, do you trust me? Don't be, he said, oh my God, you said no. You would come here. Because you would come, Caribou Sana, Joby. Because we get Capri is now free from prison, free from jail. So, but Demore had already had him out. So this is the predicament. I'm gonna miss the show. This is a predicament. I'm trying to teach Demore this. So Demore had already cleared up, right? He already had it cleared up, right? And so he told Capri, I got it cleared. The captain's coming, going to release you. But of course, the other police in there in the prison tell me he needs a $6,000 bribe, 6,000 Kenyan shilling bribe to get out. And so the more I didn't know he even already sent the money. So they already sent the money as a backup plan, right? A plan B, just in case, right? They told Ella don't spend it until the captain shows up, and then we'll know, just in case, a plan B. But like I was telling Demore, these individuals have not been taught about fear and what fear does. And so I told him, that day he was going to lose that money, that they were going to go ahead and release that money because he was going to be scared to wait on the captain releasing them because he wasn't there yet. So they were going to just give the bribe up anyway, right? Because it's based on fear. You got to understand there's a certain personality, sadly enough, that's Africans, who have been not taught how to critically think in situations that they run off fear. So he should have just waited to what Demore had already told him. That's why I didn't send him any money. I said, listen, Demore's already got the situation already cleared. You're already cleared. You're cleared. But, he didn't want to do that So they gave the 6,000 shilling bribe to get him out instead of waiting for the captain to show up and release him, which would have been another 30, 40 minutes. You know what I'm saying? And so the more he's upset and not understanding what fear does, and you haven't been taught how to critically think. You haven't been taught that fear runs everything. Once you're in fear, the brain doesn't work anymore. It doesn't know how to critically think.
That's true. That's true.
I know.
We're glad Capri is out.
I know it's true. Yeah, he's out. Yeah. So that's what I tell you. It is true. That's what I'm trying to teach them more. So don't be so upset. He's upset. I'm telling you, don't be upset. Understand how the mind works. And then if we're going to do it, we have to teach them that, right? Africans have been taught these things. Some people have it naturally, like you or Demar, but this is not the nature. Not to get so angry.
Anyway, Karibu, we're talking about South Africa, and I'm sharing this video right here of white people claiming and literally boldly talking about how they're not going to leave South Africa.
I told you. Exactly. So we're talking exactly boldly telling they're boldly telling they're going to leave South Africa and they're going to take it all over again. So we're going to take the Cape, then we're going to take the rest of Africa. You got some of them saying they're going to take all of Africa again. Down there. They said we're going to take all of it. We're going to go back and take all of it.
Yeah, so just sharing, and they're talking about how they want to be on top. You know, they're just, it's them. You call me literally and confused me the whole situation. But we had a white man who openly just talked about, of course, their history of how they came here. They were a distraction. They exploited people. So they're trying to justify their action, trying to say that whatever they're doing in South Africa is not discrimination. And apart from it not being discrimination, they're not again going to repeat their mistakes. But I'm saying they've been doing it. Number one, understanding you don't want to leave a country that you also don't admit you stole from the people. You still want to go back with this BS of your ancestors, and all that. It's not working. So we have this guy saying the truth, but at the same time, when you go back to the same thing, like I think either fear applies here or the too loving and kind Africa applies here, and which is very, very bad because white people don't include black people in anything. They don't care everything about. And I'm not saying all of them, don't get me wrong, but personally, I've said just because today a clown wore a different costume doesn't mean it's a clown. Or just because today the snake sheds it did shade its skin, it doesn't mean it's not a snake.
Doesn't mean it's not a snake, exactly. Because it shed its skin, it's still a snake. It's still going to be who they are. That's who they are as a people. Okay, you might have one or two good white people, that's rare. As a people, they're predators.
Yeah, so we have this guy talking about how what South Africans are racist, but for South Africa to work, they must share together. Share what? That's where you called me at. They're not sharing Orania with you. Again, on this video, like they're gonna say, they are calling you lazy farmers. They're calling you lazy. So you still want to share with someone who's calling you lazy, understanding you're not lazy. Something is wrong with you.
We must live together. We must build this country together. The economy of this country for it.
They're not building it together with you. They're actually making your lives more tougher. Again, these people have their own bank.
Excel. We need
they have their own currency. See.
Both black and white people.
He knows that a court case, regardless of the result, will inflame tensions between those he claims to represent and South Africa's Afrikaners.
They are racist. And racism must be confronted at all costs.
He said, pause it, Joby. He said he called himself a fake name, Afrikaners. They're not Afrikaners. They're Dutch and British. See, they want to put themselves, attach the name to Africa. They have nothing to do with African. They're not African people. They are invaders. They're Dutch and British colonies. That's what they are. They're not no fucking Afrikaners. We're not. See, we don't be called Africans because we don't be called the niggas. We're Afrikaners. You're not. You're British and you're Dutch and you're French. That's what the fuck you are. You don't get to make up no new fake term, all these fake terms. I'm African. I don't acknowledge none of that shit. Go ahead, Joe.
Going to allow any racist person to be more important than everyone in South Africa.
It's happening. You talking, it's happening. That's the difference. We're not going to allow, if it was in the process, but we're not going to allow. It's happening. It's already happening. Trust me, South Africa pisses me the F off, man. I don't. And then we have a woman you people, you need to go back to your country. Can you first address the right situation in your country before you start pointing fingers on other Africans? I'm still standing on that. Can you please just point the problem in your own goddamn country first? Can you understand the problem happening in your country is the same cause effect of why another African is coming to your country? Yeah, people, you need to go back to your country. You need to go and fix your country. Your people are stealing. So are Afrikaners stealing your land. So please shut the fuck up talking to Africans, telling them to go back to their country. Yet you can't deal with the white man. You can't. This pisses me really, really off.
Because of that seems to suggest that they will continue having that problem of minority and the majority, and the minority would be treated more importantly, and the majority will continue to suffer.
Would you be prepared to encourage your supporters, if the people in Orania refuse to leave, to go in and pull them out?
They are going to leave. They are going to leave.
When you're this calm, how do they live when you're this calm, wearing your red Julius Malema hat?
Oh, Joey, you know how Africans, I told you this. You being Africans are what? Soft-spoken. I told you, give me all this fake tribal bullshit. You're the same people. You are the same thing in South Africa, Kenya, they've been Uganda, they've been you're soft-spoken people.
I am not. Not in this.
Not now. Not now. You're not. Joey, you be kindly, everybody. Pibusana, kindly.
That's because I do not feel I'm a kind person. Please, it's not like I'm not a kind person.
You are a kind person. That's what I'm saying. That's the African's nature.
I'm not a BS taker.
Okay.
Disrespect is continuously applied on your face and you take it. I think you also know that, kid. Personally, I'm heavy on addressing disrespect on the spot. I won't wait for tomorrow. I won't wait for the white people to come ask me, oh, do you feel that these people are disrespecting you? Hell yeah. I'm going to address it in the right spot I spot it. This is the problem with Africans. So you're telling us they're going to leave. Why didn't you make them leave from the beginning? You want to go rally on the street? You should go to Orania and burn it down.
They didn't make, exactly. You should have did that, but Africans do that because what? What do Africans first do? Okay. Africans first do what? Let's work it out. Let's see if it'll change. Let's try to be peaceful, Joey. Let's try to be loving.
That's what I'm addressing. That's the problem. I have a problem with that. I'm taking what is mine forcefully. I'm taking it and unapologetically. Okay? And with my voice very high. You telling Africans, oh, you're too loud. Don't be too loud. Isn't that the phrase they use on black people when we want what is ours? Oh, don't be too loud. You can't be too loud. I'm loud, and I want you to hear it. And so, where's the name of this guy from South Africa? Forgotten his name. If you're on the chat, say hi. Yeah, say hi. But yeah, South Africa needs to fix their country. This kind talk, this is not going to help. Who are you going to fight even in this kind of health? Let me just ask. Have you seen Ibrahim Traore, how fit he is? No chubby chicks here. You're not a man ready for war.
I mark my words, I'm telling you today, they are going to leave.
But if they refuse to leave, what would you do?
They can't refuse the truth.
But answer me that. If they refuse to leave, what would you do?
They can't refuse the truth.
Well, that is something else. At least I love that. Yeah, they can't refuse the truth, because something that is very factual is why people love it. They, again, like I was saying from the beginning of the show, is understanding this system. It has been built on lies, illusions. They have been hiding the truth all their lives. So yes, the truth is you can't deny the truth. It's all coming out, and with time.
But Joe, but you know the truth. How many other Africans know the truth, Joe? You know the truth.
That's why I'm addressing the people don't know, like this
Okay.
You know, he needs to hear. And that lady, that's your friend, that South African friend of yours.
I like that lady. I like that lady. You know she's crazy. You know she's wrong all the time. I still like that lady. She's crazy.
I'm talking to her. She needs to hear me. Yes, I'm ready for this debate. Talk to me.
And they know what is the truth. The truth is that they are racist. The truth is that they look at us as semi-human beings. And that, of course, is not something that we must adhere to. So if they will make a mistake of refusing, then I think they
already have.
Joey sound like me. Did Joey sound like me?
Like, what the hell is he saying? What the hell? He's crazy.
But this struggle for South Africa's soil is not as black and white as it seems in every sense. We're off to see one white farmer who says her husband killed himself reportedly because of the pressures of having to take on a black partner.
Oh my!
The pressure of having to do right, of taking on a black partner because you stole all the. No, how about you don't take yours a partner? He just takes the land back that belongs to him because it's ancestrally his. They says I'm not gonna be your partner because this land actually belongs to me. You go back to Europe. Go back there. We didn't steal your land up in Europe. You came to our country to steal our land. Talking about the hardship of taking on a black partner. Oh,
God, you must be hurting while you're killing black people and feeding them to pigs. Exactly. You're feeding black people to pigs, and none of you has gone to jail. None of these people have gone to jail. They have money, or they can pay. They can just cash bail. They can do whatever. They can bribe the judges. It's what. Please.
They control the judges in that country, Joe. All the judges, the whole system is controlled by white people, Joe. That system, they don't got to bribe no judges. The judges are not going to convict them because they control the country, Joe. See, we see fake black bootlegs. They don't control nothing. White people still control South Africa.
Black farmer training young people to run their own businesses. And we talked to a leader of the bush people who says his ancestors' land was stolen not just by whites, but by other black South Africans.
They talking about the Zulu. See, that says when you get to it wasn't just stolen by whites. It was those were the lands that you were having wars in with other African tribes. You're both there. That's not stealing. You guys are warring on each other. These people invaded. You both were in Africa, so that's a different story. That's usually a story that's been put up by the white man. All that thing. My thing was stolen by other blacks. No good bastards. Get out of here.
Franelyn Rousseau raises more than 2 million chickens a year. Although hers is a working farm and the law specifically targets unused land, she's concerned about the overall attitude to white farmers. How concerned are you that all of this could be taken away from you?
Well, it's quite harsh, as I have a sense.
It should be. It should be, because you took it away from black people. It should be. How can you be concerned that this could be taken away from you? It should be taken away from your head because you stole it. You stole that from black people. Okay? That they belong to you. Did we go to Europe and steal your shit? No! You tell me how great Europe is. Then why don't you go back to it and stay there? Shit crazy.
And there's a gun loaded next to me, and it can go off anytime. Metaphorically, I say it, but it's also I don't think it's wise in these days and age to put laws like that in if we in South Africa don't feel safe anymore. If you take land away from people that are being born and raised and skilled, and it's been in many generations, just taking it away for the sake of taking it away, giving it maybe to people that are not fully skilled. I'm just worried about.
Don't say people that's not fully skilled. How did the South Africans eat before you showed up and stole their land? When they eating, but people that are not fully skilled, is that people can't learn to farm again. It sounds crazy. This is the whole scam they do that white people are smarter. They should be able to keep the land that they stole because you Negroes are too stupid to learn how to put a seed in the ground and throw water on it.
They brought us civilization. Heroes.
Yeah.
Worried about the future.
If Franelin Rousseau
And then pause it. And every time you see the people out there doing the work, it's the black people. White people ain't out there doing the work. Every time they go on these farms like in America, you see the black people out there doing the back-breaking work of the farm while the white people are the supervisors not doing shit. Oh, they don't know the farm and blah, blah, blah. No, the labor is always black labor. Isn't it funny? It's always black labor. But they tell you black people don't know how to farm. No, they want to own it so they get the majority of the wealth. But then why you got all these black people out here doing all this damn labor then? Doing the actual work on this farm. And since you say they don't know how to do it. See, they don't match their fake narrative. They want to own the shit. They want control of the shit because it's wealthy. They want the black people to work and be slaves on their shit, building them wealth. Go ahead.
Was white farmers' land are too inexperienced, then Tinswalo Makubeli is trying to prove her wrong.
This one is mustard spinach, freshly harvested. You can see, we can try it. Oh, very healthy, very sweet, juicy.
Oh, it has a little pepper.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
Very sweet, very sweet. But I told you that you're a no good, dirty nigga. You're not supposed to have land to get wealthy and do nothing. I'm supposed to own your land and control it, and you work on my land. That's what it's supposed to be.
Now you listen to what she says, because this is now where the hero comes in. You know, because she's gonna defend them. Oh, you know, yeah, they are racist, but they have taught us this and that.
Body.
See, they're racist, but they taught us.
Her young workers are learning how to grow food and run a farm on land that she rents from the government. She's infuriated by the suggestion that black people can't be good farmers.
It makes me very angry as
Anybody
an
can
African.
farm.
They found us in this country, in this very same soil. We were eating cultural food.
That's what it said, exactly. Exactly. So Africans were already eating and farming. The idea that you came, remember, they were the ones starving. They left Europe starving. They didn't have food in Europe. That's all they always changed this narrative. In Europe, they were starving. That's why they left the fucking fucked up place. They were starving and backward and ass full of shit and doo-doo and piss. They didn't want starving. But you come to some other people, oh, you niggas are starving. We're going to steal your land so we can teach you how to farm. What? Yes. Go ahead, Charlie.
Your beans, your cassava, your yam, your sweet potatoes.
Why would some people say that the land is being stolen from them and given wrongly to black farmers? Why would they say that?
It's misinformation, honestly. Probably they thought someone was going to give them money. Now that no one is giving them money, they realize that it's not going anywhere. They said they are going to leave the country. No one is going to leave the.
Yeah, because why you been compensated for what is not yours? Why? Because of you told. It's the same thing with Zimbabwe. We saw this Zimbabwe. They were finally compensated, which is very wrong, because this was not your property. You need to leave. You came with nothing. You live with nothing. Okay.
How about that?
At least you live in more cleaner and a little bit healthy after sitting on my land comfortably. Find somewhere else where you can sit. Now you have civilization. We passed all the knowledge to you. You're no longer a caveman. Go survive on your own. You know, leave Africans alone. That is what you need to do. But no, they won't do that.
South Africa, they are still here with us, and we're still going to be here together. What we need is to share equally.
They won't. No, there's no sharing. I don't want to share with a white person who has been racist to me, making the lives of my. I'm not sharing with you. I'm so sorry. I'm not sharing with you. I'd rather go pick a homeless person on the road and then we come share together. That is better. Trust me, because they'll just forever remain grateful. And a white person, you'll come feed them, they'll shit on your face. Shout out to Trump. They'll shit on your face. They'll ask you, why did you learn to speak such?
Yeah, that's right.
I have white farmers that are my own colleagues, some have mentored me. I have never gone there to say, I want a piece of your farm. But I said, let's exchange skills. What is it that you can support me with? And they've already given me so much knowledge where I'm able now to do things on my own.
It's sad though to hear that.
Yeah, exactly. That knowledge is already there, lady. You had to go to them. And that's all that Africans have been cultivating Africa for thousands of years, lady. Why these people still up in caves fucking their own goats? What are you talking about?
While Tinswalu may argue that black people were using the land long before the white settlers, the bush people, the Khoi and San, say they've roamed southern Africa for 40,000 years.
See, and understand, this is a lie that the white man had told the Khoi San. Oh, you people are the original people of the earth. No, they're not. You can't get dark from light. They're not the original people. The African Bantu are the original. They're the oldest genetics on this planet, not the Khoi and the San. But that's the scam they done told these Khoi and San people.
Our journey takes us across the Karoo and into the Kalahari, deserts where the nomadic bush people would have wandered, slept and hunted for thousands of years. It's here that we find ancient art across the savannah and in caves where bush people would have stayed with their families. The entire roof blackened, maybe 200 meters down the length of this cave, from thousands and thousands of fires, from thousands.
And the thing you know that the Khoi and the San are not original, because the Khoi and the San have what? Neanderthal genetics. So they're not original. They have Neanderthal genetics. How did the Khoi and the San got Neanderthal genetics? And we know that Neanderthal was never in Africa. How they got Neanderthal genetics? Yeah, make that make sense. So they're not the original African people.
The land here, we used to call it, the place used to be called Dingleton. So
Chief Nick Fusaki insists that his ancestors were here first. He shows us where his home used to be before he says he had to sell up so that others could mine iron ore. It's
that
just
wasn't
one example,
African.
he claims.
That wasn't the African that did it. That was the white man did that to you. So what are you talking about? The white man moved you off your land. That wasn't other Africans.
The bush people being forced to the fringes of South African society. He thinks that any redistribution of land should prioritize his people.
What happened when the our black brothers and sisters, when their ancestors drifted down from the Great Lakes, they found us here as the First Nation, and what we said that they can live here, but they can live in the northern part and we will live more in the southern part. So we never chased them away. We welcome them.
And what are they saying to you now?
Okay, what's happening now is that they say that the land belongs to them.
This is the fake white man story that they told these morons. That there was a migration of African people. That's the fake Bantu migration coming from the Cameroon. That black people, that's a lie. It's a lie. And you are a created African. You know, that's another thing. And I'm telling you, okay, you have Neanderthal genetics, meaning that you're not an original African. Okay? They told you, and they keep telling you that you're the first people. The first people were not Neanderthal. So that's a lie. That's a lie. So we know that's a lie. Okay? Go ahead.
What we are saying, that's wrong. We must sit around the table and we must talk about who this land belongs to.
It belongs to Africans, and that's period. Okay? End of discussion. No tribe, no borders, no Ethiopia, no Somali. Africa, okay? Like what is happening in Kenya currently right now. They're trying to make now Somalians and Kenyans have war.
Right.
Somalians here too. It's Africa. This is all political bullshit that has brought up all these division amongst the African people. All for
Of
what?
course. Exactly. Who you think is behind it?
Why?
Divide and rule. That's right. Divide and rule.
What everybody can get out of this land, and we must try and negotiate a settlement.
The only hope he sees now is for the United Nations to enforce international law
United
guaranteeing the rights of
Nations.
indigenous people.
He said was crazy.
Dutch settlers who came to call themselves Afrikaners
That's right.
also
Exactly.
consider
Dutch. Like I said,
themselves
Dutch. They said exactly Dutch. Dutch and British. You're not no. They also consider themselves a native to the land. You know, you just called them settlers. It's like the settlers they got in Kenya, settlers they got in Zimbabwe, UK, and they like to call them settlers. They're not settlers. They are invaders. They were never asked to come to Africa and steal people's shit. That's not a settler. That's an invader.
Exactly.
claimants to these contested lands. In the capital, Pretoria, they remember the Voortrekkers, who almost 200 years ago defeated Zulu warriors at Blood River, despite being outnumbered 60-1.
Thank you, Mr. Trump.
The Afrikaner rights group AfriForum pushed the now discredited line that white farmers were being killed because of state-sponsored persecution.
That was possible.
The forum's leader initially backed Donald Trump's idea of white farmers resettling in the United States. Now he wants them to stay.
We need some kind of counter pressure. And the mere fact that there is somebody in the world telling the ANC, we are watching you, we are not happy if you disrespect property rights, we are not happy if you disrespect the human rights of Afrikaners. Hopefully that will...
What about disrespecting the human rights of South Africans? This is just super crazy. The racism. This is pure racism.
Make the balance to a more neutral balance, where we will be able to get a real change in South Africa, because change is needed.
Others disagree. One man advising South Africa's farmers says his union still encourages anyone unhappy with the new laws to get out and take Trump's offer of refugee status.
They feel they do not have a future in South Africa. They feel they have no control or influence in how the future will pan out.
Of course.
We have not broken away from apartheid. We have just changed the opposite poles. Too much race-based legislation, too much race-driven practices, especially in the economy. We are more unsafe than ever before. Crime levels are too high, simply because everything is based on race instead of competence.
The narrative of persecuted whites is disputed by a local government minister who looks after agriculture in an area that covers Johannesburg and Pretoria.
The Expropriation Act does not stipulate that there should be no compensation. I think that's a very important distinction to make. It states that compensation should be just and equitable, which is a principle, once again, that's...
Compensation for what? That is the question, literally, as I shift away from that, because the second video literally explains the root of racism from every angle and many different historical facts, which is going to lead us to our main topic, looking at literally how Black people, they disrespect how it has been carried along for years and still happening today. The Florida mother who was brutally beaten yesterday and arrested, very disturbing videos. So for what? Compensation for what? Just like the other guy was trying to say from the beginning, they need space. Do Black people have space everywhere they are?
Exactly. Why do they need space, Joby, in Black areas? Hey, why don't you go to Europe for your fucking space? Why is African land supposed to build your space?
Never. You shouldn't. Because there's nowhere where Black people have space in America. I was just talking about looking at the situation you're going to talk about. These are raised Black American woman. For you to be treated that way in a place where you have space.
That don't mean yeah, she's a Black American woman told her she don't got no space in America.
In Africa, look at Congo, look at Sudan. Where's their space? Huh? Where is African's true space? Oh, we don't have any. Okay. Gonna shift to that from that. Then South Africans, you need revolution. This is beyond prayers. This is beyond xenophobia. You need to save yourselves. You're so bitter, focused on other Africans coming to your country, but you have a main root problem. And until you address that, you won't be able to understand why other Africans are also moving from their countries. That is just the truth. That is the fact. You're xenophobic, busy focused on other African people, just trying to live and survive as you. But yet you don't address the main root cause problem of what is bringing all this up. I question again, do they know history? I wonder. But as we move ahead, we have Jason says, let me read the comments very quickly as we get to move on. They're saying that's why this part of the physical illusion is sure, as he'll not what coming back. Everything is mental. I'm done mentally focusing on living regardless. Time to visit another dimension regardless. Shout to you. Kejas Williams, yes, Karibu Sana. We have Spikes back, and he has Saturday and Sunday Swahili classes, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. And we also have the Welfare King, Karibu Sana once again, saying on Thursdays, instead of playing homosexual music, let's have questions day. Number one, I saw that question and I was
homosexual music.
Hold on. Number one, I'm not gonna change for you, Welfare King. Again, I've never ever on my music show played a homosexual song. And third, which is not third and least, if my music doesn't literally impress you or you don't enjoy it, you're not the target audience for Thursday music. I'm so sorry. You can just tune in for the Africa Today show and other shows. But if you don't like the Thursday show, I'm so sorry. But you're always welcome to request your own request. Karibu Sana. Ask Jerome Mosquito. Always having a good time and Kate. But anyway, and Jason and the rest. We also have Jerome Mosquito, Karibu Sana. Emil also saying that's how white people are. In the military too, Black people and others are always the hard-working ones, while the white people just lay back and play on their switches. It's crazy. And shout to you also, Jabba Karibu Sana says, how do we say cooking oil in Swahili? God damn, are you crazy? I won't say that. Mafuta ya kupika. It's called mafuta ya kupika. Mafuta ya kupika. But anyway, let me share this second video as we get to continue, which is gonna lead us to our main conversation as we understand literally why this racism runs so deep in these people.
Homosexual music.
History is not
I was
just
like, have you ever had me playing homosexual music, Keith? Maybe I'm the one who doesn't.
I don't know.
Okay, you threw me under the bus.
List of facts. It's a story, and for hundreds of years, people
haven't
have
heard
told
it,
the
but
story of the world.
maybe sometimes I miss it. I don't know. maybe it's called piano. Yeah, because house music is considered homosexual. You play a lot of piano. House music is considered homosexual music, but that's a different band. I don't think piano is homosexual music, guys. I don't.
Exactly. Like,
anyway, go ahead.
I'm shocked.
Single distorted lens, a lens that put one continent and one people at the center of all human achievement, while the rest of the world was left in the dark. This is the story of Eurocentrism, a kind of intellectual racism that is so widespread and so deeply ingrained in how we think about the past that we have to attack it at its very core to get rid of it. Our story doesn't start in the distant past. It starts with one event that changed the way history was written forever. The moment when a rising European power and an ancient African glory collided. It's 1798. There is an army of Napoleon Bonaparte in Egypt. As his soldiers and scholars look around, they see a civilization that is both very old and very advanced. The pyramids, the temples,
Africa.
and the hieroglyphs all
But
show
they get
the
mad.
power and the glory that Europeans had a hard
Everybody
time
blew, exactly.
understanding.
Everybody blew the
This
nose off.
discovery posed a significant
Yeah, they blew that nigga nose off, Joby.
Of course, because our nose, it's easy.
Yeah,
to learn.
exactly. It's African. We don't have their nose, exactly.
And I think it's many. Most of these are our civilization, greatest civilizations we've seen. Even I don't remember the name of those things. The stones that also have the African nose. Remember the ones you've shown me a couple of times?
Yeah, the ones in Mexico. Olmecs.
Yeah.
crisis for the dominant European perspective, which was predicated on an assumption of racial superiority. How could people they had long thought of as black and less than them have made such amazing things? Instead of questioning their own bias, they came up with the idea of rewriting history. In a shocking display of intellectual dishonesty, European scholars simply reclassified the ancient Egyptians as racially white, members of a brown or Mediterranean race, a classification that conveniently severed them from the rest of the African continent. This wasn't a small change. It was the start of a planned effort to erase Africa's own history. Institutions like the Göttingen School of History in Germany, a major center of 18th century thought, gave this intellectual trick a thin layer of academic respectability. People like Christoph Meiners there helped create a new racial science by putting people into a hierarchy. They made three neat racial groups: the Caucasoids in Europe, the Mongoloids in Asia, and the Negroids in Africa. These categories, lacking any substantial scientific foundation, became the unquestioned basis for fields such as anthropology and history. They were the perfect way to explain why Europeans should expand their colonies, why the transatlantic slave trade was so terrible, and why racial caste systems were starting to form in the Americas. Science was being used to help the empire's plans. To fully comprehend the architecture of this intellectual racism, we must reference one individual who, more than any contemporary Western philosopher, formulated the most systematic argument for the superiority of what he termed Western white Protestant bourgeois modernity. His name was Georg Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel. Hegel built a complicated philosophical system that was basically a racially structured ladder of human development, a story of the world spirit moving towards self-realization. He put the Germanic peoples of Europe at the very top, saying they were the final and full embodiment of reason and freedom. He said that the people of Asia, who were in the middle, had a divided consciousness that allowed them to understand, but not to truly reason for themselves. And at the very bottom, the people of Africa were stuck at the most basic level of awareness, the senses. Hegel's statements were not just academic thoughts. They were presented as absolute philosophical truths in his important lectures on the philosophy of history. He used a pen to divide Africa into three parts, saying that they were all separate and had nothing to do with each other. He thought of the northern coast as European Africa, which he saw as just an extension of Europe. He gave Egypt a special, separate status that connected it more to Asia and the Mediterranean than to the continent it was on. Then there was what he called Africa proper, which is the huge area of the continent south of the Sahara. Hegel said that this place is the land of childhood, which lies beyond the day of self-conscious history and is covered by the dark mantle of night. A continent full of different cultures, kingdoms, and histories was called a historical void, a place without growth, spirit, or history. Hegel's ideas helped people think about the horrible things that happened during the colonial era. His well-known master-slave dialectic, which is often seen as a purely abstract idea about the fight for recognition, has a much darker meaning when looked at through the lens of his racial theories. It serves as a rationale for subjugation. The relationship he describes is not one of social contract, but of absolute power, where the master has power over life and death over the slave, who is treated like a child who can't take care of himself. This was not just an idea, it was a real life of millions of Africans who were enslaved in the Americas. It was a system of paternalist despotism that Europe's greatest philosopher gave his stamp of approval to. Hegel's shadow is long and dark. His ideas did not perish with him. They were assimilated and recontextualized by successive generations of intellectuals. Karl Marx, who is famous for wanting to turn Hegel right side up, couldn't completely get away from Hegel's ideas. Hegel's philosophy had Eurocentric ideas, like the idea that history moves in a straight line toward Europe. These ideas were carried over into Marxism, which is a problem that many Western Marxists have not dealt with. Tashale Tebobu, a scholar, says in his book Hegel and the Third World that Hegel's work was a good place for modern ideas to grow, from existentialism to Nazism. In Tebobu's words, he is present amongst us not only as truth, but also as reality. To fight Eurocentrism, we first have to deal with the ghost of Hegel that still haunts our world. If Hegel laid the philosophical groundwork, a new, more dangerous theory would provide the false scientific story. The Hamitic hypothesis was its name. In the early 1900s, British ethnologist Charles Seligman, who was very important at the time, improved this theory. He said that all important achievements in Africa were made by a mythical, light-skinned race of pastoralists he called Hamites. He said that these Hamites were basically white invaders from the north and east who brought civilization to the Negroid populations.
Civilization, indeed. Really?
Who were thought to be backwards and agricultural. This was the exact opposite of the original story in the Bible about Ham, who was linked to a curse. Out of nowhere, Hamites became the light bringers and the force that civilized a dark continent. The Hamitic hypothesis was a strong and useful idea for colonialism. It systematically denied that there were any indigenous African states, inventions, or cultural achievements. If there was any proof of an advanced civilization, like a complicated political system, a beautiful piece of art, or a new way to farm, it was quickly linked to these made-up outsiders. It was a fantasy, but it had power in the real world, and a group of European experts who went to Africa and only saw what their biases led them see added to it. One of the most strange people was Leo Frobenius, a German ethnographer who came to southern Nigeria in the late 1800s. He didn't see a lively native culture in the holy Yoruba city of Ile-Ife. Instead, he said he found the lost city of Atlantis. Frobenius told the story of an Etruscan civilization that sailed the seas and whose last remains were kept safe by the Yoruba. He said that the Yoruba god Olokun was really the Greek god Poseidon. He thought that the beautiful bronze and terracotta heads he found, which were works of art with stunning realism and sensitivity, were proof of this foreign classical influence. He concluded that the Yoruba had descended from this former glory, a decline he attributed to the gloom of Negrodom that had overshadowed them. One man's racist delusion, which was passed off as serious research, would go on to affect generations of historians, both European and African, making the study of Yoruba history toxic for decades. The fantasy went on farther up the Nile. George Reisner, an American archaeologist who is known as the father of Nubian studies, was digging up the ancient kingdom of Kerma in what is now Sudan in the 1920s. Reisner's writings show that he was stuck in the racial theories of his time when he saw a strong, clearly African civilization that was older than most of what he knew in Egypt. He wrote with chilling certainty that the social mingling of Egyptians, Nubians, and Negroes resulted in offspring who don't inherit the mental qualities of the highest race. When he later unearthed the tombs of the Nubian kings who conquered Egypt in the 25th dynasty, the so-called Black Pharaohs, he simply refused to believe what was in front of him. He disregarded the unequivocally Nubian evidence and ascribed the entire dynasty to light-skinned Libyans, igniting a debate rooted solely in his own racist assumption that Black Africans were incapable of founding such a formidable kingdom. This refusal to recognize African agency was not merely an academic endeavor, it had terrible effects on the body. The beautiful stone ruins of Great Zimbabwe, which are now in Zimbabwe, were a silent reminder of a powerful indigenous kingdom that thrived on trade with other countries in the early 1900s. The first European archaeologists to look at the site, like Theodore Bent and Richard Hall, couldn't believe that local Africans could have built such a structure. As curator, Hall took this belief to a horrifying level. He systematically destroyed the upper layers of the site, saying they were recent Bantu corruptions of the original, which were supposedly built by white or Semitic people. This act of archaeological vandalism destroyed buildings, materials, and the graves of royals that held priceless artifacts like Chinese porcelain and Persian glass. This means that future generations will never be able to piece together the history of Zimbabwe. The making of history went on along the East African coast. In the 1920s, British colonial officials tried to hide the identity and history of the Swahili people by creating a fake Persian colonial state called the Zinj Empire. Professional historians like Reginald Coupland and James Kirkman gave this made-up story academic credibility. They painted a picture of the whole coast being ruled by Arab and Persian colonists who were immigrants and ran a huge slave trade. The Swahili people were only slaves or wives. Kirkman even said that the impressive Swahili ruins belonged not to Africans.
Exactly what we're discussing today, even on the reaction time, how the Swahili women are trained to be wives, literally from a very, very young age, sexualized from a very, very young age.
But Arabs and Persians with some African blood, because he thought Africans couldn't have done such great things. The Swahili city-states had a rich, cosmopolitan, and deeply African history that was erased and replaced with a colonial story. The pattern happened over and over again across the continent. According to the historian Conti Rossini, all civilized things in Ethiopia, from farming to running the government, were brought there by South Arabian groups that had settled there. This speculative narrative, which negated Ethiopia's distinctive and ancient history of innovation, persisted as the prevailing orthodoxy until the 1950s. People in West Africa thought that light-skinned Berbers from the north helped with metallurgy and building states. People said that the Hamitic Tutsi or Hima brought civilization to the Negroid groups in the Great Lakes region. There was a constant, continent-wide effort to erase and misattribute African civilizations in order to support the central myth of European superiority. It's important to realize that this wasn't just bad research, it was dishonest scholarship. The so-called debate about who built Great Zimbabwe was never based on a scientific comparison with cities in the Middle East. It was based on the racist idea that the Shona people who lived there couldn't build such buildings. The incorrect attribution of the Swahili ruins to Arabs and Persians did not stem from a thorough examination of construction materials or linguistic history. It stemmed from the biased notion that the Swahili could not be the founders of their own civilization. The method behind the madness was that the conclusion, black inferiority, was made ahead of time, and the evidence was then made, changed, or destroyed to fit it. This same bad faith can be seen in the study of African history as a whole. The notion that West African metallurgy originated from Carthage, the assertion that African cereals were exclusively imported from the Middle East, and the belief that significant African cities such as Timbuktu were merely foreign outposts, all derive from a common origin. It is a consistent pattern of denial, a refusal to acknowledge the agency and creativity of African peoples. Professional historians, archaeologists, and linguists, often working with colonial governments that wanted to hide the histories of the people they wanted to rule, gave this pattern academic credibility. It was a perfect cycle of power and prejudice that fed on itself. While these racist views of African history were becoming more popular in Western universities, a movement against them was also starting to grow. It grew among scholars of African descent in the Americas and the diaspora who wanted to get back the history that had been taken from them. Afrocentrism was born out of the racially divided United States, where race and history were very political and important to both identity and government policy. It was a necessary and defiant response to the widespread racism of the time. People like Molefi Asante and Sheikh Anta Diop were important in making this new history about Egypt more popular. A Senegalese scholar made a strong case that ancient Egypt was a black African civilization and that all of humanity and civilization itself came from Africa. He said that ancient Greece, which is thought to be the birthplace of Western civilization, had taken all of Egypt's valuable things. Said that Africans should look to ancient Egypt for intellectual and political ideas, just like Europeans look to Greco-Roman antiquity for ideas. In 1994, the world was horrified as the small Central African country of Rwanda fell into genocide. The Hamitic hypothesis, a ghost from the 19th century, was at the heart of that genocide. Belgian colonizers used the ideas of Seligman and others to split the Rwandan people into two groups. The Tutsi minority was called Hamitic, which means they were better, smarter, and meant to rule. The Hutu majority were called Bantu, which means they were seen as less intelligent, emotional, and better suited for hard work. This arbitrary, racist classification became the main way that Rwandan society was organized. It was written down on identity cards and enforced through decades of colonial policy. The killers spoke this colonial pseudoscience when the genocide started. The Interahamwe extremists, who killed so many people, said they were sending the Tutsis back to their homeland in Ethiopia, which is a direct echo of the Hamitic invasion myth. People say that throwing bodies into the Kagera River, which flows toward the Nile, was the fastest way to do this. A scholarly fantasy had transformed into a rationale for mass murder. The horror did not stop in Rwanda. The fighting spread to the nearby Democratic Republic of the Congo, where two wars broke out that involved more than 7 African countries and killed more than 5 million people.
Which is still very active till to date.
This was the worst war since World War II. The violence wasn't always as bad, but it was still terrible. the colonization and dispossession of African peoples in southern Africa were rationalized by the academic construct known as the myth of the empty land. European settlers arriving in the 19th century perpetuated the notion that they were entering a predominantly uninhabited wilderness, disregarding the long-standing existence of intricate and established societies such as the Zulu, the Xhosa, and the Sotho. This historical falsehood, which erased the indigenous presence from the landscape, served as the legal and moral justification for land seizure and the establishment of the brutal apartheid regime in South Africa. The repercussions of this myth, along with the racial hierarchies it upheld, persist in the region today, manifesting as significant disparities in land ownership. Academic theories are never simply theories. They are tools that can be used to justify taking away people's rights, oppressing them, and even killing them. But even in the darkest days of slavery, people fought against this mental and physical bondage. Frederick Douglass, who escaped slavery to become one of the most powerful voices for ending slavery in the 19th century, is a great example of how Hegel's abstract philosophy doesn't work in the real world. As a young man, Douglass was sent to Edward Covey, a well-known slave breaker who was very cruel. After being abused for months, Douglass, who was only 16, fought back. Douglass said that the brutal 2-hour fight was the turning point in my career as a slave. He was ready to die, and by doing so, he overcame the fear of the absolute Lord that Hegel thought was the basis of the master-slave relationship. At that moment, he was free in his mind. The lie at the heart of these ideas is shown by Douglass's own life. Later, he wrote very clearly, "It was not color, but crime, not God, but man, that afforded the true explanation of the existence of slavery." He knew that slavery was not a natural or philosophical state, but a social construct, a crime committed by one person against another. The enslaved man from Maryland was just as smart and defiant as the great philosopher from Stuttgart. Teschel Tibebu says that Douglass and Hegel are quite on par with each other at that moment of struggle and recognition. The lived reality of the oppressed shows how wrong the oppressor's philosophy is. So, what's next? How can we fix the damage that has been done by bad thinking for hundreds of years? The solution does not reside merely in critiquing Eurocentrism or in establishing a reversed, reactionary Afrocentrism. To move forward, we need to completely change how we think about African history by putting the African societies that made it at the center of the story. It means getting past the never-ending arguments based on racist ideas and instead looking at the wide range of evidence that Africa itself offers. A new generation of scholars is already working on this project, which is dedicated to a truly decolonized history. For example, the work of archaeologists like Augustine Hall and Roderick McIntosh has completely changed the old stories about West Africa. Their findings in the Tichet Walata area of Mauritania have proven that agriculture, state building, and urbanism in West Africa did not come from the north, but grew up in the area over thousands of years, starting as early as 2000 BCE. The discovery of the city of Djenedjeno in Mali, which thrived for hundreds of years before Islam came to the area, has completely changed how we think about trade and city life in the region before Islam. These were complicated societies that grew out of African roots and came up with their own unique ways to deal with the problems they faced in their environment. And the place in Zimbabwe that Richard Hall damaged is now being restored. Archaeologists like Shedrack, Chirikure, and Thomas Huffman have changed how people think about the hundreds of stone ruins. They are no longer thought to have been built by mythical foreign builders. Through careful archaeological work, studying trade goods, and a deep understanding of local oral traditions and cultures, they have definitively shown where these structures came from among the Shona people. This is how real research looks. It doesn't make up stories to fit biases. It follows the evidence, respects the local context, and gives people back their historical agency who were taken out of their own story. This is how we go after Eurocentrism at its heart. We must acknowledge that it was not merely a perverse underbelly in the study of African history. It constituted the foundational basis for its establishment as an academic discipline. The European philosophers, historians, and explorers, lauded as the founders of the field, had already developed their theories of African inferiority prior to their arrival on the continent. Their work did not seek truth. Rather, it served to validate their own biases. To tear down this rotten foundation, we must reject its main idea, that people from non-Western cultures are not active creators of history, but rather passive recipients of it. We conclude as we commenced, with Hegel. His legacy is more than just a historical curiosity. It is something that is alive and breathing in our world. Teshel Tibebu says, we are dominated by Hegel, his Eurocentric framework, which puts the West as the universal standard of reason and progress, still shapes our institutions, politics, and even how we see ourselves. It continues to exist in the assumptions of contemporary academia, in the stories told by popular media, and in the frameworks of global power. Even movements that want to do good can fall into its trap and end up supporting the Eurocentrism they are trying to fight against. So, the job we have to do is very important and needs to be done right away. We have seen that academic racism is not an abstract evil from the killing fields of Rwanda to the lands of Southern Africa that have been taken from their rightful owners. It's a weapon. It kills, takes away, and makes people less human. The decolonization of history is not an abstract intellectual exercise. It is a matter of life and death, of justice and restitution. It's not enough to just criticize the surface of these racist ideas. We must attack them at their core, taking apart the very things that hold them up. We can't move forward unless we reject both the arrogant superiority of Eurocentrism and the reactive trap of a simple inversion.
Exactly. And yeah, that is my second video for the day. And literally I'd complete that video by saying legality, the normal quote, the usual quote, legality is a matter of power. So we've allowed so much. There's a lot that has been allowed, because of those who hold power and because of those who don't hold power. It's literally where the scale is, it means the same, I feel like, on both ends. Those who control the power, how they have legalized so much, and how we've allowed so much because we don't have power. So legality is a matter of power. But let me go through the comments very quickly of that video. That was a very informative video. We learned something from it, literally explaining and looking at what we're just looking at in South Africa, racism, the root cause of it, the change of narrative in everything. The same thing actually I was talking about today, even in the morning on my show, how they have changed the narrative of Africans' history, the lands, everything, the system, completely making it their own. And it serves them. It's been completely serving them the way they've wanted, the way they've set it up. But Karibu Sana 10 Speed says, I really don't understand Africans. They are like us Black Americans, gullible, because we do the same thing over here. They wind up taking over us in the land and now taxing us in our own land. It's crazy. It is crazy. The question for me would go back to, how are you willing to fight back? Because personally, I'm willing to die standing up for what is my own. I'm not gonna just give it easily like that, you know. So Africans at this particular point, if we're not careful, it's going to happen again, especially in the continent. But yeah, that is a really, really good thought over there. 10 Speed also says black people in America, Africa's and Australia have all been hoodwinked. I don't know what a hoodwink means, but I'm gonna check. And I also see 10 Speed says I'm in Chicago and I always knew house music was gay even when it came out in the 1980s in Chicago. Okay, but Amapiano, don't say Amapiano is gay. Don't. Amapiano is not gay. There we refuse. As much as South Africa is fucked up politically as a country, the music, personally, I F with it. Like, I really love Amapiano. And nah, majority of their music actually is based on, I'd say, African roots and culture. If you understand Amapiano, again, go back to your people who understood each other. I can understand some things as much as I'm not understanding the South African. I can like try translate what this really means by just listening to the music. I don't know if it really makes sense, but yeah. John Mosquito also says that is interesting. Also adds that there have been ancient Tanzanian coins found in Australia. I wonder how they got there, of course. And he also says they bombed the castles in Ethiopia too. And John Mosquito says, notice the hairstyles all have a spiritual meaning. Exactly. African hairs, plainting, all had spiritual meaning. You know, just like, I don't know, mind what it means, but trust me, in the ancient times, this would have meant something because it's like cross patterns, you know. It was not just a hairstyle. It meant something. When Jiba Jaba also says that takes genius to build a dry stack stone wall that high with all those curves. And I also see John Mosquito says, Joby, you need to check out the YouTube channel, the Hidden Science Academy. It teaches a lot about the East African Tanzania Empire. I'll check it out. Kindly share it on the WhatsApp if you can. Then I'll see the YouTube channel name. And also says, I believe Africa was already on the decline when the invaders came. They didn't really conquer, but took advantage. I think if we go back to the 25,000 years cycle of time, again, understanding why we fell asleep, or why we had to fall asleep, how we fell asleep, and why they had to take over. Personally, I always try be lenient with ourselves, but at the same time, it's crazy how we just lost all that knowledge to now the point where critical thinking doesn't apply at all anymore. It's just super crazy. Then John Mosquito says there are many so-called Tatarians buildings still in South Africa today, but have been turned into banks, post offices, etc., just like the West, of course, to hide the history. Jason also says Frederick Douglass is Dr. Umar's great uncle. Okay. And I also see Jibajaba says the Douglas loved white women, so there's that, and OG Cornel West. And John Mosquito says why people love breaking your mentality completely. Welfare King also says, don't get mad, Keith. I don't believe in transatlantic slave trade. 10 years on 3 ships. 10 years on 3 ships. The ocean is a beast. Real pirates is black women and men, not Caucasian. I'm not going to argue about that. Well, it does make sense, but still, the facts are there. I mean, that's a really good thought, but the facts are there. I don't know. But I also see John Mosquito says Stuttgart isn't that Germany. I've checked that. But Jibajaba also says then Benz and factories are located there. There's a word I miss over there. Ten Speed also says my question is why black people are. My question was black people born to be slaves on this planet because this is the history of Negroes on every continent. A really good question, but I don't really think so. No, because understanding we really had the greatest civilization, this first people to be here. Like, we are the greatest to be. We are the greatest who have been and yet to be and still are. This is why they continuously keep on killing us. So I don't think for real that black people are born to be slaves. No, we're just dealing with savages people wanted to take control of us, and our happiness, understanding literally you come from a point of not having anything at all, and then you come meet these people who are teaching you how to become yourself, how to apply humanity, but it's not within you. I feel like it's easy to understand why they behave how they are, but I don't believe Black people were born to be slaves. No, it's just that we're dealing with savages and destructive people. Like I said earlier, white people are just have a nature of destruction. And John Musgrave says that Stone Age, because everything was built with stones. Did they make the stones because it's a lot of stones? Well, like we say, Mother Nature has provided a lot. So if you talk about building or the making of stones, it's just digging. Because I've seen personally how people dig stones. There's mining of stones happening in different parts of Kenya. I know personally. And yeah, so the universe has provided everything. So it was there. And also Jibajaba says, when tilled the new farmland, did you find any relics? And also see Jibajaba says, Joby, nice color combination today. Thank you so much. I'm not going for no service, no chat service. I'm going to my house. That's what I'm doing. And also see Joby says, hoodwink is like tricked or bombazled. Oh, okay, thank you.
It's bamboozled. It's being fooled, Joby.
Thank you for explaining, John Mosquito. Jibajaba also says, I'm a piano. If you are an artist, have a blonde or pink afro. Are you? Nah, it's not all that. Trust me. There's really decent piano, you guys. There's really decent piano. And I'm not going to put you on because you're all talking your shit. So I ain't putting you on or nothing. But yeah, we're going to move to the main conversation of the day. We have very most disturbing news that came out yesterday in the evening. I think in the afternoon during you guys' time, of this woman. She's a mother from Florida. She was brutally arrested over parking her car while she was picking up her daughter at school. Now you look at how the whole altercation happened. It's really crazy. So let me share very quickly on how everything went down, how the police handled everything, and then you try to understand what, again, I love the question 10 Speed has asked about are Black people born to be slaves? No. This how I want to literally simplify it on everything I've shared, from South Africa to looking at how racism has been playing its role and them trying to change the narrative to this. We're just powerful people. I don't know why we intimidate white people. I never understand that. It's as much as we look at everything, how great we are. Still, it's mind blowing how just white people are intimidated by just seeing a Black person. Because personally, I've seen many videos, so now I see it and I have understood. How they'll just come confront you for no reason. You're just minding your business. They just have an issue. You just been there minding your business. It's mind blowing for real how white people are just intimidated by seeing a Black person. It's like you've seen the worst thing of your life and it disturbs the shit out of you. It's crazy. But anyway, this is a very disturbing story. This is a Florida mom who was brutally they're saying that a Florida mom's brutal Jacksonville sheriff officer arrest has caused controversy and leaves her retaining national renowned civil rights Anthony Benjamin Crump and Harry Daniels. The arrest on October 7th as Erika McGriff, who's 39 years of age, parked outside her daughter's IDEA Bassett Charter School. I don't know if I'm giving or reading the right way, but yeah, that was on October 10th. The sheriff, okay, I'm not just gonna read the whole thing because I don't understand what the page, how it has written. This is giving ebonics, but let me just share the video immediately of what took place.
You got me fucked up! You gonna punch me? You gonna hit me? You gonna
Yeah, this is so disturbing. This is just so disturbing because you can imagine this is happening in front of our kids. This is crazy. And this is now looking at the second video I just shared, like John Mosquito, the comment you just made, why people like to destroy you mentally. Exactly, this is what is happening right here. Because the children who are seeing this, that is going to instill fear, which Kito started with when he joined the show, is going to instill fear on you. And again, you don't have a space as much as they want their space. You as a black person, you don't have a space of raising these kind of issues. You don't have a space of calling out racism. You don't have a space of talking about this, because at the end of the day, the system is going to defend them. Oh, did Trump give the police officers immunity? Oh, yes, he did.
707. Hey, you hiding my arm! You hiding me!
You went too far. You got it, bro. That's the devil, okay? That's the devil. That police officer is the devil. Okay? That's the devil. Hey, y'all, I gotta move this on.
What the fuck is wrong with you? Get the fuck off of that lady. You ain't screaming like a man. Oh my God. You is wrong. You is wrong.
It's the first arrest of its kind for the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. They announced today they'd enforced the newly enacted HALO law. It happened Tuesday when JSO arrested a woman outside of a school, and that was captured on video. The HALO law went into effect in January, and it creates a 25-foot buffer zone around first responders and police for their safety. It requires people to stay back after a verbal warning. Tarek Miner breaking down what we saw in the video and sharing some of this, really a warning from the sheriff today.
Yeah, Sheriff T.K. Waters said that he called this news conference today as a public safety announcement, saying he wants the public to know what the HALO law is and how it will be enforced. As a warning, some of you might find the video that we are about to show disturbing. It's school.
Yeah, so this is who they are. I mean, this is very disturbing, for real. But
Hey! Oh. Hey!
Cette violente arrestation s'est produite ce 7 octobre.
Shocking. A black mother in Florida was arrested after being beaten by a white police officer while picking up her child from school. In October, Erika McGriff, the mother, went to the school gate to pick up her daughter, but was stopped by a police officer. The police accused her of parking illegally and leaving the vehicle unturned at the intersection.
I need your license. I need your license.
I don't know what you're talking about. That's not my car.
Erika argued that she was just a passenger and that the driver had gone to school. However, the white policeman had no intention of letting him off the hook. Erika was subsequently arrested. In addition, the director also announced the arrest of 2 other black women, those who had asked the police to release Erika at that time. After the on-site video was widely shared on social media, the city's police chief made a public statement, not only defending the involved police officer and praising his actions, but also completely denying the accusation of violent law enforcement by the...
It's so sad. Oh, always a bootlicker. What are you being fed? For you to, this is just despicable.
police. Afterwards, Erika sued the police officer but received no response. What's your opinion on this?
This
arrest stems from a criminal incident that occurred on the afternoon of Tuesday, October 7th, outside the IDEA Charter School located in the 1800 block of Bassett Road. This arrest stems from a criminal incident that occurred on the afternoon of Tuesday, October 7th, outside of the IDEA Charter School located in the 1800 block of Bassett Road. Erika McGriff, a habitual traffic offender with revoked Florida driving privileges and the parent of an IDEA student, illegally parked her car in an intersection and left it running and unattended. Officer Holton, a JSO officer working as part of the Safe Schools program, attempted to lawfully discuss the matter with McGriff. She escalated the verbal conversation to physical violence. She violently resisted Officer Holton and eventually punched him repeatedly and bit him with such force that she left a bite impression on his forearm.
This is so sad because from the video she's defending herself. That cop is the one who was literally forcing her on the ground and all that. She defended herself. You can't convince me to live in America. Shit.
And another woman pending arrest were originally spectators.
What happened, everybody? Was that Jacksonville?
Officer Holton and failing to provide him with the 24.
Yes.
Why was the lady screaming? Were they arresting her?
Yeah. Have you not been listening, Kit? What?
Oh my God, nigga, have you not been listening? Yeah, I've been listening. I'm here. I know. I'm just saying. Why was she screaming and hollering? Did they arrest her for something?
She had gone to pick up her daughter at school.
Okay.
Then she had parked her car, which the officer said she had parked on the wrong place.
Wrong place. Okay.
So instead of just handling the situation all calmly, he started, harassing her, choking her. Then when she defended herself by punching him, he completely went rogue and handling her like a man by handling her
in the face. Yeah, of course.
Handling her like the George Floyd kind of situation, pressing her on her neck. She's saying she's not breathing and all. This is just crazy. And we have this idiot right here defending him.
Well, of course, well, the sad fact, black women have been told something completely crazy because they know they've converted the society. Black women, you're still black. And you're in a racist system. So you think you're going to do what white women and white men can do. You're not. They're going to show you that you're not white. And they're going to do it brutally. Okay? Understand this and stop getting these situations. That's why the majority of the time you always see black women in these situations because they don't want to understand that we are prisoners of war in America. And the racism, you'll give them an opportunity because you're not going to win. When you clearly he's in the wrong, but he's white. He's got the complexion for the protection. So as soon as he starts beating on your ass, you're going to say, oh, this is so wrong. What are you doing? And the court system is going to say, so what? And say, have you looked in the mirror? What are you? You're black. So we got the right to beat your ass today, tomorrow, and every day this week. So in that situation, you're supposed to say, hey, I'm sorry. I apologize for parking in the wrong area. Where is it for me to park at? You got to spoil your pride. Where is the right place for me to park? So I'm going to get my ass beat and thrown in prison because I got to get my daughter. Okay? That's going to have to be your way of thinking. Because as African people in America, you are behind enemy lines. You are prisoners of war. You better understand that. But black women, you've been told something different because they gave you power over black men. And you think you're part of the damn power structure. You're not. Go ahead, Joe.
The question should go back to for how long will this bullshit be tolerated?
Okay, you're right. Okay, get you. How long will this bullshit be tolerated? Until African people build a real military and stop being cowards. That's how long it'll last. So African America hook up and say, listen here, because Africa's got the numbers. As soon as Africa gets, remember I showed you, Joby? Remember that movie where they had the guy play the Chinese and it's all disrespectful? Yeah, yang chang chong bang bang chang bong. Remember that? They can disrespect Chinese people in America and around the world because China never built a military. So they were disrespected globally. Right? So now, until Africa builds a real military, so we're not going to tolerate those disrespect of African people. See, you got to get rid of tribal shit. Globally. Any attack on anybody black anywhere is an attack on black people in Africa. That's when you get respect. So I told black people in America, you talk that bullshit about Africa if you want to, but until Africa rises and gets power, black people will be disrespected globally. Period. Until Africa gets on its goddamn feet and projects power, black people will be disrespected in Colombia, Brazil, Jamaica, Panama, and everywhere on the goddamn globe. So, until that happens, because I don't give you guys have a fake black Indian what? Your dignity is based on how Africa is treated. So since African people outside, and I've been everywhere on the planet, African people are disrespected everywhere. Brazil, you're disrespected in your face. It's worse. People say that it's worse than Brazil. It's in your. I think Brazil is even worse than America. It's in your face. America used to be in your face, but it's a little bit more subtle. Except for times there's no subtle. Brazil is in your face. Colombia is in your face. All South America is in your fucking face. You're like, wow. Am I back in the 1940s? Shit. So, until Africans take control of Africa, like Joby said, and be brutally unapologetic and project power, I told you, the only thing matters in this world is power. Not your money. It's what power you have. Because you can have money, because you think people respect Dan Cody, the richest black person in Africa. They tell him to sit his ass, Dan Cody, whatever the fuck his name is, they tell him to sit his ass down, shut the fuck up. And he does it.
Dan Cody.
Dan Cody, whatever the fuck his name is. Have you been listening, Joby? Dan Cody.
And let me go to the comments. Yes, that is basically what we have to do as we wind up with today's conversation. Because looking at all those 3 videos, the problem, which is with the biggest population, which is in Africa, the disrespect.
And let me say this: and what Joby showed in South Africa, that soft-spoken guy, talking crazy, he hasn't took power. He took power. People threw away. He said, "It's about our dignity." You better learn this, African. You allow people to disrespect you and treat you with a disdain in your face. That's why he's saying this is about dignity. This ain't about no goddamn money. You're going to respect us as a people, or it's war. That's what you're going to do as African people. You don't let nobody disrespect you in your fucking face. Say it's okay and smile.
Respect is and not given. Never. So expecting white people to come give you, hey, here's your respect as black people. You're going to keep on waiting for it. You're going to die, reincarnate, come back, die, reincarnate, come back, still begging for, hey, white people, can you recognize our respect? Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, as we wind up with today's conversation, I see John Mosquito was saying, Brother Kid did say, as a black woman, if you are on your own, you can't just run your mouth or not cooperate. Did I get that correct? Brother Kid did say, as a black woman, if you are on your look, talking about the black American women. Okay, yeah, makes sense. Thought you were saying a black woman generally. It was like, huh?
What about black men? What about black women?
I think
before you go crazy.
I think this goes back to the conversation we were having last week, week, but about how the black women have been used and destroyed. Black American women.
Yeah, black women, they know. Shout out to the women on TikTok. Black women have been used to destroy black society in America. And that's just a fact. Whether you like, that's not, because I don't hate my own women. There's no hate here. I only analyze what's happening because it was already in effect before I was born. So I had to analyze the situation I find myself in, and that's where the information leads me, whether I like it or not. That's where the information leads me. So as women as their normal behavior do not like to claim accountability for nothing. And Black American women, since they've been given a level over Black men now, they don't want to be responsible for the shit they've done. But as you see, no matter what you say, there was no Black men in that apartment building in Chicago when those babies were being brought out butt naked in the middle of the night. And that white man said, I don't give a fuck what them babies feel. Now, if that was the 1950s, the Black man and the Black woman were together, you would have open war on that street. Black men would have came out and said, those are our babies, and it's wartime. And let the chips lay where they lay. Well, fuck it. The guns would have came up out the goddamn closet, and it would have been goddamn a war up in that damn place.
But
do it for me, Joey, real quick. This while you read the comments. Go to YouTube real quick. And say the either one. Let's say the Newark, NEW, ARK riots that are 60.
Pardon?
Are you gonna? I was gonna say Detroit, but just say Newark. Say go to YouTube and say the Newark riots of 1960.
The Newark.
Newark, NEW, ARK, Newark, New Jersey. Just say Newark riots. We can say Detroit. We can say Chicago. We can say LA. So whenever they attacked our babies, back then there was war. Because the women weren't ruling the Black community back then, it was the men.
Can someone please put whatever Keith is saying on
Newark, Joey, Newark, NEW, ARK, riots, RIOTS.
Newark, okay.
On YouTube. I was about to say Detroit, but we seen that movie. And when the blacks went crazy because of police brutality. Same thing here. To protect, so you had police brutality in Chicago, but we're so fractured now. You had no men to protect those babies, and they were dragging down the street butt naked. And you heard that white cop said, "Fuck them babies, fuck them, fuck them. They're out in the cold, butt naked.
Newark, New Jersey used to be a thriving all-white city. From its factory workers to its department store chains, like Bamberger's and Haynes, which catered to whites. When people of other ethnicities began migrating to the city, particularly blacks, things started to change, for the worse. Over time, the city would go from a thriving, white-centric metropolis to a racial powder keg that would explode with tremendous violence toward the close of the 1960s.
Explode!
Let's dive into that history.
See the police coming in there, Joby? But they had to come in there. Same way they did in Chicago now. But you got black men saying there's going to be war.
The Newark riots, a 1967 uprising that changed America. Written and narrated by Daniel J. Middleton. Way back in 1666, English-born colonial leader and militia officer Robert Treat led a group of Connecticut Puritans south to a land he wanted to be called Milford, New Jersey.
England again, Joe. We still land. Ain't it funny? Colonialists. See, all that. See, that's the fake name they always give them. Colonialists, settlers. These are invaders who stealing people's land. Go ahead.
Who had led another group of Puritans to the area, opted for New Ark, as in a new Ark of the Covenant, and so Newark was named. Newark endured raids by British troops during the American Revolutionary War and went from being a township to a city in 1836. That very century, and partway into the next, saw Newark grow into an industrial powerhouse as its white population increased. Around the year 1900, blacks made up only 3 to 4% of Newark's population. But by 1910, poor economic conditions and Jim Crow segregation laws in the South forced blacks to migrate to cities in the North, including Newark. This turn of events caused a percentage of the white population to move out of the city. White flight truly ramped up in the 1950s, during the second Great Migration of blacks from the South. The Federal Highway Department aided in the flight of whites to the suburbs when they constructed highways leading from Newark into new suburban areas of New Jersey. Prior to that time, all that existed were pretty much cities and the country. The government made moving affordable for whites through low-cost federal mortgages.
See, pause it.
In the midst of white flight, the interstate highway system was formed.
Pause it, Joe. You there? See, they didn't make interest rates available. They gave them free houses. See, white people always been giving shit. Whether it be South Africa, Kenya, giving shit. And like you hear the motherfuckers say, I think, motherfuckers got that land in South Africa and Zimbabwe, they've been giving shit. So they were giving houses, giving businesses, giving it. Or black people were giving nothing but a boot in the face. So they were giving wealth. Understand this? Either your work, your tax dollars in America, your tax dollars pay for white people's housing. While you got nothing. These are facts. Go ahead, Joey.
President Eisenhower, and a new highway was planned, which would run through northern New Jersey. The section between Phillipsburg and Newark began construction in the 60s. It would become Route 78. The very highway that destroyed predominantly black communities in Newark's South Ward for the sake of whites who needed a way to commute to and from the new suburbs. Many houses were destroyed, forcing blacks who had once lived comfortably to find new neighborhoods. Slowly the Jews, the Irish, and the Italians vacated the other wards, leaving Puerto Rican, Portuguese, and mostly black residents behind. When the whites left, many businesses dried up, and money stopped flowing into Newark as it once did. This led to high rates of unemployment and severe poverty. Blacks who tried to find jobs and better housing were discriminated against, and so they sank into poverty as well. By 1967, Newark had become a majority black American city, but one that was ruled by white politicians and policed by white officers. This led to racial profiling.
So it's all black now, Joby, right? So the majority is black, but ruled by white people. And all the money was taken out the city, given to white people. So you got white cops policing poor black people who already hate them. So that's going to be a powder keg. That's the same shit you see in the south side of Chicago with ICE coming in to the poor sections of Chicago and raiding these niggas. Go ahead. But they don't want you to defend them. But women and children.
Brutality, neighborhoods being redlined, and blacks being denied access to education and job training, leaving them powerless and entirely disenfranchised as a people.
Remember, no access to education. Keep them stupid, Joby. So they can't even critically think their way out of the poverty. Understand what is the situation? Why am I all fucked up? You ain't got the knowledge to figure out what the hell's even going on. See, that's their global scam. Keep you stupid. Go ahead.
Despite being the majority residents, blacks did not have adequate political representation in Newark, and then came more housing destruction in the name of urban renewal, when thousands of black residents were forcibly displaced from low-income tenement buildings that were demolished in the Central Ward to make room for the University of Medicine and Dentistry. Needless to say, racial tensions were running high in the city of Newark. 3 months prior to the infamous rebellion that led to riots and looting, Martin Luther King Jr. delivered a speech at Stanford University predicting the unrest to come. In that speech, titled The Other America, King said,
"So these conditions, persistence of widespread poverty, of slums, and of tragic conditions in schools and other areas of life, all of these things have brought about a great deal of despair and a great deal of desperation, a great deal of disappointment and even bitterness in the Negro communities. Today, all of our cities confront huge problems. All of our cities are potentially powder kegs as a result of the continued existence of these conditions. Many in moments of anger, many in moments of deep bitterness, engage in riots. I think America...
See, what's the difference you see right there? What you see right there, Joey? You see it? You see the same policing and the fear to go fuck black people up.
Yep.
But there was unity back then because we weren't destroyed as a people yet in America. Black woman wasn't giving all this fake propaganda. Good.
Out of thin air, certain conditions continue to exist in our society, which must be condemned as vigorously as we condemn riots. In the final analysis, a riot is the language of the unheard. What is it that America has failed to hear? It has failed to hear that the plight of the Negro poor has worsened over the last few years. It has failed to hear that the promises of freedom and justice have not been met. And it has failed to hear that large segments of white society are more concerned about tranquility and the status quo than about justice, equality, and humanity. And so in a real sense, our nation's summers of riots are caused by our nation's winters of delay. And as long as America postpones justice, we stand in the position of having these recurrences of violence and riots over and over again.
Newark's summer of violence was sparked on the night of July 17, 1967, and lasted for 5 agonizing days. It all started with a rumor that was quickly spread throughout Newark. 2 white officers arrested and beat a black cab driver named John Smith after he drove past their parked vehicle. Bystanders said this was done without any provocation whatsoever on the part of Smith. The officers were from the notorious 4th Precinct, and black residents thought Smith had been killed inside.
They started dragging me through the streets, and this evidently incensed the people of the community.
Smith, who was very much alive, had been charged with assaulting the 2 officers and verbally insulting them. Crowds of black spectators followed Smith as he was dragged through the streets of Central Ward, and they waited outside the precinct. Police ordered them to engage in peaceful protests, but the belief that Smith had been killed was enough to incite rebellion. Officers responded with force.
We will not tolerate violence. We're going to crush violence in this city.
The very thing that Martin Luther King Jr. had spoken about in his speech 3 months earlier began to unfold. A long oppressed community reacted with violence and riots as they looted neighborhood stores and set buildings ablaze with Molotov cocktails.
You're supposed to burn that shit down to the ground.
Shotguns, and the entire force was placed on emergency duty. They were also told to fire if necessary. Prior to 3 a.m., the National Guard and state police were called in to deal with the angry crowds. As the police and military presence increased, the violence escalated. On the evening of July 15th, Rebecca Brown, a nurse's aide and mother of 4, was ruthlessly gunned down in her second-floor apartment by state police and National Guardsmen who were randomly opening fire at the upper floors of buildings in response to reports of a sniper being in the area. 53-year-old grandmother Hattie Gaynor was killed in the same apartment building while sitting by her window as she often liked to do.
Hey,
Eloise Spellman,
how's
mother
that?
of 11 children,
How stupid
was
can
shot
you
and
be
killed in
sitting
her
by a
13th
goddamn
floor
window? Ain't no police out there shooting at that fucking place. What's wrong with African people? Goddamn, they shooting around this bitch. Why are you by the damn window sitting? Shit crazy.
for the same reason. The alleged sniper, who was never proven to exist, was reportedly never found either. When the violence, looting, destruction, and rioting ended, 26 people in total had died or been killed as a result. Among them, 16 civilians, 8 suspected looters and rioters, 1 police officer, and 1 firefighter. Another 727 people were reportedly injured, from civilians to military personnel, and 1,500 others were arrested. The property damage cost the city about $10 million, over $75 million when accounting for inflation. The armed response by the government was strong, with some 7,900 men being deployed in the city. In the aftermath of the riots, Newark steadily declined, as did neighboring communities. Poverty increased and racial discrimination persisted. In the next decade, major industries pulled up stakes and vacated Newark, along with the white middle class. Author Kevin Mumford writes in his book Newark, A History of Race, Rights, and Riots in America, deindustrialization had accelerated sharply, and by the mid-1970s,
pause it. And we said deindustrialization. That was when they were taking all the jobs out of the cities and moving it to China. Because remember, that was also to destroy. So this is when we talking about the separation between black men and black women. This is to break the black man's back. I wasn't even born yet. See, this is me, this research, right? So this is another reason why they sent these jobs to China, to make sure that the black woman would not respect the black man. He couldn't take care of her. He could probably protect her, but he couldn't feed her, couldn't feed her family, because the jobs were gone. The manufacturing base was being gone. You turn up in Detroit, Chicago, LA, Houston, Memphis, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Indiana, and all major black cities, all industries were being boxed up and sent to fucking China. So now your black woman don't respect you because you can't feed her. And the white man is telling her that you're violent and you're not her ally, he is. So I can pay for your welfare. I can give you a decent job. As I showed, Joby showed you that you had 300,000 and 400,000 black women getting fired this year because they've already known you that you helped destroy the black community. Now I'm done with your ass. I built your ass up, but now fuck you up. Because I used you to fuck up your own community, and that's why you see the remnants of that in Chicago on the south side. Because I destroyed black men's earning power. And you blame black men for not being able to earn enough. That's what you black women told. I need a high-powered, 6-figure man. How you don't make enough money to date me and all some crazy shit. But where I'm getting this job from that doesn't exist in my community. I'm not be given this opportunity because we don't own them. The factories that have now been broke down and sent to fucking China to make them a global power. But you laugh in my face and say I'm worthless. That's what you said, black woman. You said I'm fucking worthless.
As we wind up, as we literally wind up.
As we wind up. I'm going right now, Joe, put your mouth as we wind up. Don't do some airtime bullshit on me.
Okay, yeah, so yeah, we're gonna wind up.
Look, I gotta worry about the black women in Kenya now too.
No,
I'm not.
at least I gave you your
All
time. Come on.
All right, Joe, go read the comments. I'm done.
Yeah, but I see I was saying I don't care. All she had to do was park in the parking spot, especially if you ain't got the license. Don't leave it running out in the road. And John Musto says, Joby, if you see the whole video, she was partly in the wrong. I didn't see the whole video, so maybe yes, she is. Ras Cash also said, they said in the earlier
That's
video,
what I said.
beat the police officer still could have handled her better. I agree with you too, Emil. Ras Cash. Emil says that those Latinos in South America are all crackers. It doesn't matter. They might have a dark tan skin. That's why they are who
You right, Emil.
And Jason says,
The Oreos. They might be black on the outside, but they damn sure white on the inside.
And Ras Cash also says, in Miami last night, an NBA YoungBoy concert, a police officer slammed a black man from 3 row seats down. English, my friend. English. Tafadhali. Yeah, something settled.
Yes, English, Tafadhali, English. We do the best we can, Joey. Sorry, our English is not as good as yours. We apologize.
I was going to say is Joby, stop trying to get me in trouble with black American women. I just pointed they need to be careful why they are alone. I didn't say that you created a problem. As you said, 10 Speed says I'm still single because I refuse to deal with the disrespect of black women.
That's right. That's why you got these. And you know, I don't do nothing with these goofy passport bros. I'm not one of those. But like I said, there was a club in Colombia full of black American men. This black girl said, and all men in there for black Americans because of the disrespect that African American women have now portrayed. Not all of them. We don't say not all of them. So I was going to get the caveat, not all of them. But the majority. You still find some good black women. They're honest though. I see them on TikTok telling the truth. You know, they tell you the truth. Go ahead, Joby.
And yeah, we have. Sorry, I'm trying to. Jason says these times will come back like the 1950s and 1960s. Ras also adds in Florida, the governor's pushing a law and order in Florida, and he's telling the sheriff's department and police be tough on crime. The governor is pushing for the next president's run to show.
Yeah, you know what that means. You know what they say. You know what that means. Code words. When they say be tough on crime, that means bust niggas in the mouth and shoot them in the head. That's the code word. But
yeah, those are all the comments literally. But yeah, we're coming to the end of our conversation in time. Right there, it's 39 minutes past 10 p.m. right in the 254. Have yourselves a beautiful rest part of your day. I'm gonna go have me a good night. See you guys tomorrow, same time, same place.
What's up, family? My thing is they see how Joby being a woman, a black woman, put me on the bus. Key, were you listening? Were you listening to the conversation? Hey, wrap it up.
At least I'm inclusive. I'm asking. I didn't just jump on the conclusion. I'm asking, But anyway,
much love, family.
See you guys tomorrow, and we are.